and they repented not to give him glory. Now, I've been sunburned, okay, in my years, but this word says scorched. Now, I remember one time years ago, I worked for a security guard company way back. And we had to iron, we had to make sure our shirts were pressed and all that kind of stuff before showing up for work. Well, one day I was ironing and something drew my attention away from the iron, and I actually left it down on the shirt, and the shirt got kind of a burnt mark, just the same shape of that iron. So that shirt got scorched. And I was thinking about that when I read these scriptures, that it says that, and men were scorched with great heat and blasphemed the name of God, which has power over these plagues, and they repented not to give him glory. Once again, now when it says man, it just isn't relating just to men. It's relating to everyone that took the mark of the beast or is worshiping the beast. So there's men, women, children. They're all kind of involved in this thing. So now I don't know how hot it has to be to get scorched. I think, wasn't it true when you were mowing and got really bad sunburn on your legs and stuff? Now, sunburn is one thing. I bet you scorching means 2nd or 3rd degree burns. And so that would kind of smart a little bit. But once again, they still turned they blasphemed God. They turned their eyes and said they weren't going to worship him. You would think by now they would say, okay, maybe there is something to God after all, instead of going through all these plagues. And if you notice in this verse, in this verse 9, is the first time they used the word plagues in these vials. This was the first time the word plague was used. So the fifth vial, and the fifth angel poured out his vial upon the seat of the beast, and his kingdom was full of darkness, and they gnawed their tongues for pain, and blasphemed the God of heaven because of their pains and their sores, and repented not of their deeds. It's so important to get people saved, to really get out, to really start seeking the lost, because I'll tell you, these people are going through some very heavy trials, and yet they still turn their faces, turn their words against God. And I know this past week, the atheists are wanting to have atheist chaplains. Now, that's almost what do they call that, an oxymoron? How can a chaplain and an atheist, they want atheist chaplains? I was sitting there watching that news report, and I said, well, how can that be? How can you be an atheist and be a chaplain at the same time? An atheist chaplain does not make any sense. And I think that's what the military was thinking too. This don't make no sense. But yet the atheists say there's no God. They say there is no God.
Okay. How you not believing in God if you say that, if there's no God?
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense, does it?
Well, so we want to preach against that. We want to preach that there is no God.
Right.
That's what we want to preach.
Yeah.
So they're like they want to be an organization, where they can say this. It don't make no sense.
It don't make no sense to me either. I was sitting there, I was trying to figure out atheist chaplains. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But it says, and they repented not of their deeds. So here they had all these opportunities throughout, the whole book of Revelation, and yet they were still turning their eyes and their ears and their mouths away from God. All the things they've gone through, you would think they would realize out there is really something about all these plagues that we've had. Because there's only been a period, a very short period of time, from Revelation chapter 6 or 7, when the seals started, to up to this point. It's really a relatively short period of time. So we've had the seals, we've had the trumpets, now we have the vials, and people still are not repenting. They are still turning their minds and eyes against Christ. You would think that there would be a revival going on you would think that people would say, hey, you know what, I'm done with this. How do I get away from all these plagues? You would think they'd be busting down doors to get with people who were still worshiping. Because once again, we still have people that were still, there worshiping the Lord. The sixth vial, verse 12, and the sixth angel poured out his vial upon the great river Euphrates, and the water thereof was dried up, that the way of the kings of the east might be prepared. Now, this deals when the river Euphrates dries up like that. I believe this deals with the preparation for the Battle of Armageddon. And so now finally things are starting to all come together for this mighty battle in the Battle of Armageddon. Anybody have anything else to say on that? All right. Verse 13.
This has a lot. This has also the battle where it talks about all the horsemen, all the horses. How many were there? There was like 200,000 or something.
Something like that. Yeah. I'd have to get back into it and really count it up. Yeah.
But I know it's a big battle, and it's going to be very bloody. It's going to be a bloodbath. This battle of Armageddon.
Yeah, it's going to. Yeah. All right, verse 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits like frogs come out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophet. For they are the spirits of devils, working miracles, go forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, to gather them to the battle of the great day of God Almighty. Behold, I come as a thief. Blessed is he who watches and keeps his garments, lest he walk naked, and they shall see his shame. And he gathered them together into a place called the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Now, this was actually between the 6th and 7th seal. This was something that was. This was not considered vial. Sorry, not seal. But vial, this was not considered the 7th vial. This was something in between the 6th and 7th vial. And these were actually unclean spirits. Anybody have anything to say?
Was they talking about like there were just 3 total, and there was one come out of the dragon, one come out of the beast, and one come out of the prophet? Is that what we're?
Yeah.
Okay. That's probably what I think. It's just with the words of it just kind of.
Now, what I've got here in one of my references here, it says what this was doing, because they were able to do miracles and stuff like that. They said that they were hoping to gather other people to help out with the Battle of Armageddon. That's what they were trying to do. They were trying to gather people together and come up with some extra help. That's actually what they were. That's what they were trying to do. Because it says in that 16th verse, and he gathered them together into the place called the Hebrew tongue Armageddon. Now the seventh vial. Now we've had some hailstorms out here. Now I measured out. I got in my back in my Bible this afternoon and kind of calculated it out. Now the seventh vial says, and the seventh angel poured out his vial into the air, and there came a great voice out of the temple of heaven from the throne, saying, "It is done." And there were voices, thunders, and lightnings, and there was a great earthquake, such as was never since men were upon the earth, so mighty an earthquake, and so great. And the great city was divided into 3 parts, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came in remembrance before God to give unto her the cup of wine for the fierceness of his wrath. And every island fled away, and the mountains were not found, and fell upon great hail out of heaven. Every stone weighed about the weight of a talent, and men blasphemed God because of the plague of hail, for the plague thereof was exceedingly great. Those hailstones were approximately 100 pounds. Now, that is a big hailstone. No matter how you put it, it is a big hailstone. And now you think about it, it says, so we're coming down to the end. He said it was finished, ended up with a great earthquake such as man has never seen. Some people said it was like, I was watching something on History Channel. They were talking about all this here a couple of weeks ago. And they were saying that the earthquake that they're talking about here was equivalent to like 13, 14 magnitude of an earthquake, something that has never been measured before. It was so great of an earthquake. And then it finished off with the hailstorm. So you can just imagine. Now, when it talks about the great city was divided into 3 parts, it's referring to Jerusalem. And the cities of the nations fell, which refers to the Middle East. It refers to all the other areas around Israel. That's what it's referring to. So when it talks about the great city was divided into 3 parts, that's referring to Jerusalem. And it says, and the cities of the nations fell, and great Babylon came to remembrance before God to give unto her the cup of wine of the fierceness of his wrath. So, once again, but what they do instead of thinking about, maybe if we start worshiping God, maybe this will kind of calm down. But what does it say? Right there at the end, it says, and men blasphemed God because of the plague of the hail, for the plague thereof was exceeding great. And so and through this, now if you think about it, when it said through this chapter that they blasphemed God, so they realized, now this is the crazy part, think about this, they realized where those plagues were coming from. Because they were blaspheming God. So they realized that God had something to do with these plagues.
But they done took the mark of the beast.
They done took the mark of the beast, and there was some that said earlier in that chapter that they were worshiping. So they realized that, hey, you know what? We have been bamboozled, we've been fooled, and now it's too late. I mean, we talked about the blood in the sea and the earthquakes and the hailstorm. I mean, can you imagine getting hit with a 100-pound hailstorm? I mean, that would have to,